And we are live. And the last word is live. Ebontis, what is going on, man? We have been away. What's going on, sir?
Well, we have had holidays and New Year's, and crazy things have happened in the world of Destiny.
Woo!
And outside of the world of Destiny and real life, things have happened.
Hmm.
We've had some deliberations, mostly you wanting to strangle me about a name choice, which is fair. I'm a really picky person. I don't like to. Takes me a while to decide on things, so it's like, trust me, it's one of those. The person who helped design my logo would probably agree and probably want to strangle me as well. So it's totally fine. You're not alone. But yeah, welcome guys. This is the podcast of a new name. So if you guys are tuning in live, you guys may get to see the little switch over. We've got a lot to talk about coming up. We're going to discuss everything with Bungie and Activision, just kind of our thoughts on it, just kind of the post that they made, and just kind of the feeling in the community. And then we'll get to everything that kind of happened recently this week as we got new content, kind of. Uh, in a sense, we eventually got some content. And then this week at Bungie, we've been waiting to do this for that one to come out. And that piece is going to be both of us looking at it live. So we actually don't even know what's in there yet. You may have peeked, but mostly we're going to kind of give some reactions as we go through that. So you guys strap in. It's going to be a long one. And first piece, podcast name. So some of you guys may have wondered why we were looking at changing the name. And if you want to cover this one also, you might know it better. It's like there was basically another one, but it was like another like gaming podcast, basically, correct?
Yeah, basically they're an esports entity.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I mean, you want me to jump off? You want me to get the last word on this? You got the first word. Yeah, man. Shout out Slow-Mo in the chat. He said, I like the new name. Zero, very fitting. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. He said, I prefer crystal meth the game, but this is fine.
I don't even understand, Slow-Mo. You're just trolling us now.
I love Slow-Mo. That's my dude right there. Yeah, man. So here's the thing. I mean, it's one of those things where, you don't want to step on toes, obviously. You want to be respectful of people in your same space. And it basically came down to, again, nothing happened to us. There was no cease and desist sent from them to us. It was just something I kind of browsed and caught and said, oh, interesting. And obviously they're going to be at Guardian Con, and we could introduce ourselves as the last word to them now. But yeah, man, it'll be cool. But ultimately, it was one of those things where we just wanted to create that separation in the Destiny space. And, through a lot of deliberation, this was one of the finalists. We had some great suggestions, some hilarious suggestions, obviously, and from your base as well, E. Like, oh my gosh, some of the suggestions were like outstanding. So, and funny, you know what I mean? So this is the one that I kind of came to, and it kind of fit, you know what I'm saying? So obviously we like to get the last word on a lot of topics, and the first word on a lot of topics as well. And, it's, for me personally, obviously the gun is near and dear to me. That's kind of one of my first exotics. And the story behind it is pretty cool. For Destiny guys, you guys know it immediately when you see that name. So that was one of the things that wanted to resonate, as well as not using something like Guardian Destiny podcast. So that's what I got. But one last thing before I pass it back to E is during this process, I learned that my man he's the true definition of an artist. Like, he's a meticulous person. Everything has to have purpose. It's very specific. And it's cool getting to collaborate and then I kind of go back and forth, you know what I'm saying? Because you learn stuff about your friend. And one thing I learned about him, he is a perfectionist. He works very hard. Glad to do this podcast with him, even though sometimes I do want to strangle him.
Absolutely,
So until I do, but I'm glad we came down to the last word. I love it.
So yeah, you guys probably seen some of the Twitter polls, some of the things that were out there. We had narrowed it down to a couple. Long point was honestly just kind of the running joke. So, I mean, you guys have been with us long enough. Some of you guys may be new to the podcast, but really it's like Flashpoint, it's the tease of Destiny, of course. It's like, but everything we do ends up being ridiculously long. So it never was like this brief, hey, this little 15-minute discussion. We usually fall into like 2 hours, and we're not even close to the word Flash. So the joke was out there. There were some others, but the last word I mean, as you said it's like it's fitting. It was like one of the first ones that I saw of all the suggestions that some of you guys came up with. Just like struck a chord with me, and it was just like it fits because we are a podcast. Like the wording, it's still generic. So if you want to talk about some other stuff as well, so if other games coming up in the future are part of the discussion, then we're not exactly tied in. But if you guys appreciate Destiny, then it's a nice deep cut and coming up a recent one. So all of the good things are happening. So it's what we settled on. And I would say we're pretty happy where we're at. And I think hopefully you guys enjoyed as well. So that quick introduction out of the way. If nothing else, you guys get to deal with us for a little while. So I say a little while, but as you guys know, the last word is going to be about 2 hours from now, probably, because this is going to be a long one. We have a lot of stuff to discuss.
Yes.
So intro out of the way. I'm just going to let you open this one up to get started because we had some insane news drop yesterday. And if you haven't heard it yet, I'm going to let Cognito tell you what happened.
Man, this is probably Destiny is a very polarizing game. And as long as I've been a fan of it and been covering it, it is always in the middle of something. And boy, this week we've got a megaton. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It's just something that when the news feed crossed my phone, and shout out to Lord King, who's probably one of the first to kind of bring it to my attention. And, you just seen that headline and it just read, Bungie splits from Activision. And you're like, I cannot believe this. Like, how did this happen, right? How did we get here? What's going on? It's truly one of those things that I couldn't predict happening. You know what I'm saying? If we had to see how the story was going to go. And yeah, a lot of thoughts came through my head. It was kind of fitting. Like I said, this mega news kind of started once we wanted to debut the new name for the show. And we definitely going to get the last word on this one.
Oh, man.
Oh man, but yeah, like let's just talk about the emotional aspect. Like when you first saw Bungie splits from Activision, what was the first thing that went through your mind?
It's hard to narrow it down. There was so much stuff. I mean, mine was there's a lot of feelings out there in the community, and then you look a little bit deeper, rumors of what happened in boardrooms and things like that, and we'll get to those in a little bit. But generally, it was just the fact that I think it's more that I'm hoping this is the final step that lets Destiny get to where we all have kind of wanted it to get to from the beginning. As you said, Destiny is a game it's a divisive game. People love it. Yes. People hate it. People get to times where oh, I can't stand this game. Okay, I played it for 100 hours, but I can't stand this game. You're like, that doesn't make any sense. People say that stuff all the time. Be like, oh, I played this game 500 hours, but it's so terrible. You're like, why are you still playing it? That stuff happens all the time with this game because it has one of those weird natures. But it's also one of those things that everybody's always blaming Activision. It's and I think it was Fran or Pyro. It's I've seen it in a couple places. It's Activision is one of the ones that put a giant bankroll behind Bungie to help take a large investment in kind of a risk. Yes. This was a big property. This was a long-term, the whole mention of a 10-year contract. So all of these things of Activision stepping away. One of my first things was I'm on PC. What's going to happen to Battle.net? And they have confirmed that that's going to be fine. So I think that's going to be there. That's just the platform they're on. But yeah, it's everybody's always blame Activision. It's there are balances, they are a business, they still have stockholders, they still have earnings, things in all of those pieces. It's all of those little things coming together, and now it's all the earnest is on Bungie. It is literally in their hands to make or break this game to be what all the fans want it to be, or to maybe take it to where not everybody wants to. And all we can do is at this point sit back and wait. So
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. I think for me, it was one of those things. It's from the emotional aspect, it's a two-part thing for me. The first part is you feel elation, you feel happy. We do know that there were conflicts. We do know that the relationship was straining on Bungie. Right? I'm not going to sit here and paint evil Activision all day. That's not what I'm going to do. But at the same time, we have to be real about the relationship. It's just like anything, people go through ups and downs. So that was the first thing. the other part of me is, even though I do have that happiness, it's that fear of the unknown, because regardless to how you feel about Activision, and they have their reputation, and it's warranted for certain things, you know, we always say, like when we watch a new Destiny trailer, like, man, that marketing, man, those visuals, right? So
Yep.
this kind of thing just makes me, the part that I was just concerned about is like, going forward, now that everything is on Bungie, and we have to be honest, like, Bungie definitely has made their own share of mistakes themselves. Not everything is Activision's fault.
Right.
So it's
Oh
just,
yeah.
going forward, right? Like, let's see how they handle things, and now that everything's on them. We know first that Twa was really late today, but we ain't gonna get into
I was like, yeah, there's a reason it was late because this happened
I know,
yesterday.
I know. I got to tease him. So like, we're waiting on the 12 feverishly, me and you, and we're like, to my mind, I wanted to make a joke of like, well, during the Activision era, this never used to happen. We used to get our 12s on time. Just, it's a joke. It's a joke. We
Yeah.
know they got stuff
And I
going
was like, and Zero said it in chat. It's like the scapegoat is gone. Everybody can be
on.
like, oh, Bungie, this. It's like, well, it's Activision's fault. It's Activision's fault. And it's
Mhm.
also one of those pieces like Activision still puts out, I mean, a lot of games. They are a large publisher. They've got Blizzard and stuff. And it's like, what, and as you said, whatever you think about what's going on, it's to
Mhm.
the point of like there is no one else to blame, whether if
Yes.
Bungie made the Eververse and they keep it around. But it's like, honestly,
Mhm.
like, Eververse is in an okay spot. Even if it stays, like, is this all microtransactions? It's like, guess what, guys, they're technically one of the bigger indie studios in the world now. They have to make
Mhm.
their own money. Things like that are
Mhm.
probably going to happen. So
Mhm.
those little things that people just saying, are you going to get rid of Eververse? What are we going to do? Is there going to be a subscription? Nobody
Mhm.
has any idea. The plan of what is
Mhm.
currently out there for the seasons is going to stay.
Mhm.
E3, whatever's going to be announced for September, is going to be a very giant tell, because that's probably the
Yes.
biggest question mark. We know it's going through what is this, year 5. We know
Mhm.
how year 5 looks. At this point, we pretty much know most of it except Season of the Redacted. Year
Mhm.
6 could be anything, honestly. I
Mhm.
mean, it could be they have something planned, they're working on it. It could be, hey, we've got this content, guys. We'll try and get some other seasonal stuff out with the live team, but we're really not going to do anything major for another year because we really are waiting for the next generation of consoles. Destiny 3 is going to be its thing in 2020. I mean, that could be their choice because they literally can make that choice. And they're just
Right.
going to have to see how their community reacts, but at least they get to make the choice, and
Yes.
people are going to love or hate it, but at least we know it's them.
We know
100%
it's them.
Bungie. We know where the buck
Absolutely.
stops at this point.
Absolutely. So do you want to get into the mission statement that was released yesterday? You want to transition into that, or
Yep,
where you
we
want to
can
go?
look. Nope, we got it right here. So, do you want me to just read it?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, so when we first launched our partnership with Activision in 2010, the gaming industry was a pretty different place. As an independent studio setting out to build a brand new experience, we wanted a partner willing to take a big leap of faith. We literally
Mhm.
said that already, so we had a vision for Destiny that we believed in, but to launch a game of that magnitude, we needed the support of an established publishing partner. With
Mhm.
Activision, we created something special. To date, Destiny has delivered a combined over 50 million games and expansions to players around the world. More importantly, we've also witnessed the remarkable community, tens of millions of Guardians strong, rise up and embrace Destiny to play together, to make and share memories, and even to do truly great things that reach far beyond the game we share, to deliver a positive impact on people's everyday lives. I was like, there's more to it, but I almost say, oh, don't even need to read much more than
Yeah.
that.
Mhm. Yeah.
You want me to
For,
finish it? You want me to just go
no,
the whole thing?
no, I mean, you can skip past. I mean, I
Yeah.
just pretty much wanted to say, I'll go into that paragraph. Obviously, the plan transition is already underway. It's in its stages, with Bungie and Activision both committed to make sure the handoff is as seamless as possible. With Forsaken, we listen, we learn, and what we believe our players want from a great Destiny experience. That sentence is very key. I'm going to get into that. And rest assured, there's more on the way. We'll continue to deliver on the existing Destiny roadmap. We're looking forward to releasing more seasonal experiences in the coming months, as well as surprising our community with some exciting announcement about what lies beyond. Then the rest is kind of like a thank you, yada yada yada. Two things to me when I see stuff like this, and when that sentence, obviously with Forsaken, and we know the history. We remember that infamous, you know, conference call, earnings call by Activision during, post Forsaken launch, and how, they voiced their displeasure. They voiced their displeasure of the sales, that it wasn't performing up to what they expected. And that's fine. That's their investment. They're allowed to say what they have to say. But at the same time, we do know the community felt away because we all felt Forsaken was the Taken King moment on a greater scale, right?
Yep.
We all felt, that was such an amazing piece of content. This is the Bungie we want. This is the game we want. This is the Destiny we want. But if you remember, I'll never forget, and it's always in the back of my mind, is Luke Smith.
Oh, yeah. I was about to. I was like, if you didn't say it, I was about to. So,
when he put that tweet out in response to that Activision earnings call, to me, it signified dysfunction between those two. Mm-hmm. His ballsiness to go up against, in theory, your boss. You're basically challenging your boss, who holds your fate. That, hey, I don't agree with you. We believe in what we're doing. We don't think that this is a disappointment, right? So when you've got the creator and then the creative guys and the money guys kind of going at it, to me that just signifies something greater. But I always commend him because let's be honest, it ain't easy to go against your boss when that check coming.
I mean, it's true. Yeah, it's a big, and I think that's the one thing everybody's like, hey, it's so awesome. You guys are completely on their own. And that is awesome. But honestly, like some people have to remember, this is a big risk.
Yes.
And that's one of the things people have to try and keep in consideration if they're thinking, hey, you guys are awesome. It's like so cool. So many good things are coming. It's like if you thought those guys worked their tails off before, now there's literally nobody backing them up with like the Activision funds to say, hey, you guys need another year to develop this. Where's it going to come from now? It's like those little pieces are the considerations that need to be to help our expectations stay in check. If they say, hey, we want this content coming out in September, but it's not going to be ready, we're going to push it till March or something. If they start to make those type of calls, the community hopefully will roll with them. I'm crossing my fingers, but the Destiny community is so two-sided, you never know.
Exactly. And you're making great points, because at the end of the day, one thing we know, we can assume is that the content release schedule of an Activision is they keep wanting you to pump this stuff out with timed basis. And we know for a fact that a lot of times Destiny and Bungie were not able to release in these windows, and a lot of things got pushed back. Then we changed the format, right? We went from the big DLC kind of thing, the DLC content structure, to now annual pass structure. So it's one of those things now where it's like, being that it's now all on Bungie, what happens now moving forward with the content structure? Also, separating from Activision, let's be honest, like, we did find out that Battle.net is going to be okay. But, all that stuff is under the Activision umbrella. So at some point, there is going to be a transition, right? There is going to be, what's going to happen? Does it go to Steam? There's a lot of questions.
Does it go to Epic? Because they're a giant player now who just got Division 2.
Oh, man.
That was a huge change.
Huge. So the competition is fierce out there. And let's be honest. I mean, Activision also brought in Vicarious Visions, High Moon Studios to help Bungie out with a lot of things. So, that support's not going to be there. But then Bungie's defense, they've got that investor, I believe. What is it? Not Net, I forgot. NetEase. I forgot the name of them now.
It's NetEase. You got it.
It's NetEase. I got it right.
They're Chinese.
Yes, the mobile thing.
Yep.
So you got that.
Publisher.
They've got their independence. What happens to PlayStation exclusivity?
That's another piece.
Right.
Is that based to Activision? Is that based to Sony just actually and Destiny? Is there like a contract there? Does the contract fall apart if this falls apart?
Right.
Is cross-play, cross-save? I honestly don't even want... I'm not really as concerned about cross-play while it would be cool. Cross-save has got to be one that I was like, I want. And if this helps with that, then... hell yeah. Like, hopefully those little pieces, but I don't think they're going to happen that soon. Yeah. That's why I was like, if it's, September, if it's 2020 for Destiny 3, those little pieces are things that hopefully now doors can be opened. So
yes, and those are the things you definitely look for. And I want to shout out to Lord Richard Hogue of Hogue Law. He's got a great piece right now. Please check it out. It's if you check out Hogue Law, his YouTube channel, HOEGLAW. He's got a series. It's called Virtual Legality. And this guy is a corporate lawyer. He understands contract. He's been in the industry for a bunch of years. And the way he broke that whole situation down, as far as the separation and the transition. And one thing we've got to say, too, before I get into that, is that both of them were respectful on the split.
Yeah.
Because
Oh yeah, they were. Yeah.
I've seen splits, not go so good, and people talk. So it was an amicable thing. Even Activision put out a statement, hey, Guardians, wish you guys the best, that kind of deal. So at the end of the day, you didn't burn any more bridges. It's a clean break, and now we got to see what's going on. But in reference to the contract, it's definitely going to be interesting because we do, from my understanding, again, shout out to Hulk Law, that is the Sony exclusivity. That's all part of the Activision situation. And their fulfillment, from my understanding, I'm going to Hulk, is that there was 4 Destiny games they had to produce. So far they produced 2, and then 4 quote unquote Comet DLCs. The Comet DLCs would be considered like the Taken Kings, the Forsaken. Right. And again, they committed to 2. So basically, now that this arrangement, the way it's explained to me, is that now that this arrangement has ended, has been terminated, and most likely amended to allow them to release, because clearly Activision has some dissatisfaction with their investment, quote unquote, Bungie the game, and what they felt it should be performing. So now it comes down to what are the terms. How long does Bungie kind of go into this state of, because even though it's a break, it's according to the way it's explained legally, they just can't make, okay, new like super content, different, starting now. You know what I mean? Like they still have to follow that roadmap that was introduced, like what DJ's tweet said. Remember? Yeah. Like, hey, we're still gonna follow this. This is going on. So I think the earliest, we'll see something, is post annual pass, like that next quote unquote comet, which would be September.
Yep.
That will tell us a lot. What do you think, E?
I mean, yeah, I think we're pretty much on the same page there. We've got, the season that's planned out, season redacted, and then it's like September is what is unannounced. Right. And I think this is a good time for them to get ahead, give them time to plan for E3, work through the season, see how it feels, see how they're doing, how the money's flowing. Give them a little time, but I'm like, they already know what they're working on. They know it's planned, and it's just going to wait and see what's announced and how it's delivered. So the big tell is going to be like, first, is it September? I think that's going to be the first test, is do they actually hold their feet to the fire of saying, hey, we're always going to be that September title, or they're like, you know what, Destiny's still Destiny, we're going to be flexible. I mean, they have like the years, so I mean, they've been on this sequence for a while, but they finally have potentially some freedom to turn around and say, it's like we could have a season, but there's there's a chance for them to say, it's like, I don't know how else they say it besides like, we love giving you guys the content we can, but we want to put a little more time into these pieces of content so they may be farther apart. And then that's where you go back to the gap. So it's like, some people are going to be wondering, is the push of Activision, who continually tries to get us content, we had the gaps, they've tried to go to the annual pass, their thoughts about that. We'll be curious to see if that's something they try again as well. Because they may not even want to do an annual pass. Maybe that was an Activision thing. Maybe that was them in how they want to deliver the content. I don't know. Like, there's so many questions, and I think whatever, as you said, September, whether it's 2020, whether it's Destiny 3, whether they take a break and just go full force on it, whether they have a small live stuff that keeps going, I have no freaking clue.
Let me ask you this question, though. Now, let me give you the last word on something else.
All right.
What about, do you think, let's keep it personal with you. Let's say now, as a result of the Activision separation, that now changes the content frequency. So let's just say now that there's more of a gap, but it's more of what Bungie wants to do. How do you feel about that? Again, I'm assuming everything could still maintain the same. I'm just giving you a scenario that, let's just say, content takes a little longer, right? But hey, you get that drop, and hopefully it's a quality drop. Are you okay with that? Or do you are you used to that cadence that we normally would get? You get the September release, and then usually around December or whatever, you get like another little mini release, something like that. It's like, where are you at with the content breakdown?
I mean, it's something we've grown accustomed to, and of course, this player base is finicky as all get out most of the time. I mean, they are. It's like they know what they want. They can never have enough content. So if there's a bigger gap, they're gonna get some hell. But also, if Bungie's like, if they're gonna be happy putting out a next piece of content that's like Forsaken times 2, whatever, D3 or September, whatever, Destiny fill in the blank. Like whatever that ends up being is what I'm excited for. So as I've said before, it's like honestly, there's so much time in trying to keep up with Destiny. If I ever get a break, I might get to catch up on some other games. Because seriously, it's sometimes it's trying to do this all the time. Stay up as like we got January and February. It's like I got 2 characters up to 650. The third one probably won't take as long. Finishing up the Forge, we'll do the Last Word quest, and we'll have some downtime in February. Other games like Anthem and Division are going to hit right at the time of Gambit, and it's like there probably is going to be some breaks in there and changes. So it's like there's going to be other things, and it's them hopefully having the flexibility to decide when they want to release. Do they? I mean, September's not a bad month for them because it is all before the insanity of October. Still kind of gets them towards that holiday time frame when people are getting back into a routine and stuff like that. Summer's getting back in. So, nice. I mean, that's one of those pieces. If they want to still fight for that slot, I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, it is. It's just interesting. I mean, it's like I said. There's like the future. It's there's so many unknowns. Like you don't know what's gonna happen, and it's exciting yet it's scary at the same time. Like I just hope like they have their ducks in a row. They know exactly what they want to do, the game they want to do. Don't make a whole bunch of rash decisions. But at the same time, one good sign is by them constantly referencing Forsaken as in that statement that they learn, they listen. Remember another key point I'll never forget. During the early Flashpoint era is that infamous Bungie meeting with the content creators, right?
Yep.
They brought everyone in the community that had a voice for the most part in all different aspects of the game, PvP, lore, the whole bit. And to see them bring that in and then make that change and then Forsaken be what it is, and them proud of Forsaken gives me confidence that they realize that's the Destiny we want, right? So it's good, man. Let's see. Let's just see if they can fulfill on the promise. Let's see what happens with the content. Also, the next generation. We transition into that a little bit after, as far as what happens with D3, like and stuff of crossplay and cross progression. I'm with you, E. I think it's only a matter of time with cross progression, at least. You know what I'm saying? I think that, hopefully, I think it's the natural evolution of the series. Again, what's going to happen with microtransactions, tests. I forgot whose article I saw. Someone's like, they're going to do a cinematic and just blow up Eververse. I doubt that's happening, but
Right.
It's one of those things where it's like, microtransactions still may remain in the game. So we have to temper our expectations with that. I mean, they still Bungie needs to make money. So, it's exciting, it's new, it's scary, but man, what like a news bombshell this week. Like this was completely unexpected.
Yeah. I mean, to wrap up most of what you said, 2018 for our podcast was started at probably one of the lowest points. We've ended at one of the craziest points. Not ended, but we've like wrapped up the year with the Forges and Forsaken and a year's worth of changes, and they patched the game like 25 times or something like that. All the things that Bungie has done and worked towards, and they are happy with. While it's not a perfect game, it is moving in a really good direction. And there are things that hopefully they keep listening to feedback, and we'll get to community feedback here in a little bit. But it's a lot of things going in a good direction, like Forsaken, the new supers, the story, like Dreaming City. A dungeon was like a new thing, and that was freaking amazing. I still love that. All those little pieces have been showing us what I think they want to do, and I'm hoping more of that stuff comes. And for me, when the game is at its highest, even if it's like in like, figuring out how to balance something like an annual pass, where we'll get to that kind of discussion, whether it's delaying a release so they have the content or the story how they want it to be, because they might have either backing somewhere else or they're finally independent enough they can do that. If all of those things finally start coming together, I think it's just something to be cautiously optimistic, because as you said, there's a lot of questions, but I was like, I've liked what's happened in the past year, and I look forward to the future.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
So
what do we got?
Yeah, I was gonna say. So that pretty much covers that. I mean, it's like there are. What's up, Rick? How you doing? There's going to be talks about this for a while. We won't know much that's going to happen for a while because even Deej's tweet was like, we're not going to talk about the side of the business for a while. They're pretty much just going to focus on the content they've got. So this is pretty much all we're going to know. Probably around E3 is when we're going to start to get our first glimmers or signs or whatever, the future of content will hold. So we'll wait until that happens. So for now, let's talk about what's actually been happening. And we got some Forge action going on.
Woo!
So if you guys have been paying attention to the world of Destiny, which I'm sure you have if you're listening to our two crazy people heads, so we had Niobi Labs launched.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Niobi Labs is what was supposed to be the gateway, per se, to the final forge, the Bergusia forge. We've noticed that kind of got to the final piece of a quest. We've got another gun dropping now. All these things have been starting to happen, but there was a pretty substantial wall before we got there. So I want to get your thoughts first on Niobe Labs, the launch, and then just generally how you felt the forges have been thus far as, content. It's been about a month. So
yeah, it's been about a month. Obviously, it's one of those things where I see what they're trying to do as far as the forge. Obviously, it took me a while to get up to level, and to be honest, it felt more of a DPS check than anything else. But once I started doing the activity, shout out to your bro, Stone Fox, help me out.
Stonewolf, by the way.
Stonewolf, yeah, there you go. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, I got going in there, got the activity, started to mess around and seeing what kind of the end game represents. So it's a cool it's a cool activity. The thing now when we now break it down to, okay, you got to unlock this forge, you unlock that forge. Okay, cool. Now we get to the Bergusia, which is the big one. This is the one now you got to do this puzzle. We got to find out what's going on with the labs, all this stuff. And I just thought it was hilarious because no one could figure this. Like, it was so hardcore. Like, the people out there, like, the tweets were lit. Shout out to More Console. Absolutely hilarious. People with the memes and the gifs and the third eye open and trying to put all these things together on a board. And it would, somebody was like, I think it was Mark, he's like, what are we doing? What has this game become?
It's just like every movie scene where you see crazy number crunching going on is what was going on for 24 hours, basically, between Datto and Glad. And I saw Say No to Rage was in the mix, and you had their groups like working on it and like 20,000 people watching. And it's one of those things where like it was popular on Twitch, but you're like, at what expense? So you can continue.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And stop teasing me about GIF. I always say it wrong. I don't care. GIF, I don't know. They're killing me in the chat right now. But
well, one's a peanut butter, one's an animated picture. So
oh my God. Terrible. Anyway. Oh yeah, man.
Eternal. Yep.
Yeah, y'all got the last word on GIF. So yeah, man, like basically it just came down to, thing being very difficult. But I'm torn because I think we had this discussion in Discord with Scream. And part of me kind of likes that nobody was able to figure it out. And the community was trying to come together to, see what this big puzzle is gonna lead and all these different things. So that part about it is cool. As far as like not being able to figure out in time dating the content, that's where it gets a little dicey. That's
what I want your opinion on after a little long-winded intro. Now let's see what you think about. Okay, you log in on Tuesday like my brother, and he's like, "All right, so how do we start this next forge?" And I was like, "You can't." What do you think? What do you think of that? People logging in on the 8th and being like, "All right, so who do I have to go kill to kick off my next quest to get my next frame?" What? Yeah. Wait.
Yeah, big problem. Big problem. And you're right. And that to me is where they faltered. It should not have been the barrier for entry. And I believe Tassie used an example that I agree with, which is like it's the equivalent of doing the Outbreak, having to solve the Outbreak Prime quest before you can do the Wrath of the Machine raid. So that is a mistake. And again, the heart was in the right place as far as doing something difficult and challenging, but you can't block people from playing new content. So that's where I agree with you and your bro. But what do you feel? What do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the puzzles are ridiculous. I got in there, I got home, I got to play with a couple people, and we were working on it, trying to figure out, watching people's Twitch, like getting in the Raid Secrets Discord,
Mhm.
seeing what was going on. They kept like catching pieces, and we'd figure it out. And people were like going back and rewatching because I don't know if somebody did it on accident for one of the phases, and they were like, "Hey, I was just like standing here," and then they figured it out. You can't solo it, by the way. There's one of the levels that
Mhm.
you actually have to shoot three things at the same exact time, so you get to a point where
Mm.
you can't solo it.
Wow.
So
Mm.
there's different pieces with like different symbols and different codes that you do. Some were in
Mhm.
backwards orders. The codes were like kind of just randomly obscure. Like some of the way some of it was figured out, somebody was just like, "Hey, try the word." Like some of you got. I'm sorry if I spoil it for you, but one of the first ones is like butterfly, but
Mhm.
the like text was like in French. Somebody who knew French like translated it, typed it into chat,
Wow.
and it was like, for those who seek knowledge, it's like you have to live in the dark or something like that. I keep messing up the what it means, but it's something like that. And then all of a sudden it's like butterfly, and I'm going, what the? How is that connection even close? So
Wow.
some of them were like such huge stretches.
Mhm.
Some of them made sense, like they were like maps and connections, but they were so crazy.
Mhm.
So while the puzzles themselves were cool, as you said, it did not need to be what stopped us getting into the forge. Now,
Yes.
what I would have liked this to have been has
Mhm.
been like, hey, so you finish up the forge, and
Mhm.
then, but you don't get kicked to orbit. And you
Mhm.
just like, and all of a sudden you just finish the forge, you get the boss, you get your drops, and you're just still standing there. And people
Mhm.
start looking around, and then they say they find like a tunnel, and then they fall into like Niobe Labs, and then they find this, and they're like looking around, see this kind of like this armory type structure or whatever. I mean, however you want
Mhm.
to look at it. And then
Mhm.
somebody like pulls out one of the rifles because they've seen it before, and they find one of these symbols. They're like, oh crap! Like, so you like, yeah, you got to go finish the forge, and then you go roaming around there and sit there for a while and like start doing that. And if that
Mhm.
unlocked like, and unfortunately, what it's worth also is not enough, to my opinion,
Mm.
because
So
all it
tell, break
is,
it down. Break it down for you. What break
you
down
get,
what it is.
I don't know if you just get like an emblem and a ghost or something like that. Like,
No.
I think that's all they said in the tweet. Now it's not been solved yet. Maybe there's more. I don't know. But that
Okay.
insanity for just that type of cosmetic stuff sucks. To me, it's not nearly enough for the work that these people put in. The people at Vicarious Visions who are sitting back on Twitter, like one guy with the pizza on his knee, and he's just sitting there watching, and they're doing like one of those raid things, but they're watching them just like beat their heads against puzzles because it's not like you get to like level 6 easily and stay there and try it over and over.
Yeah.
If you don't get it right, you get killed. You start the whole 6 level run over,
Uh,
and then you got to try it again. So every attempt as they got farther into the levels kept getting
mhm.
farther, and like every attempt kept getting farther between. So they'd get to like
Mm.
level 5 and be like, okay, now we got to do like a 10-minute sequence of fights just to try this. Nope. Okay. All right, let's
Wow.
take the picture, stare at it, look at Twitch chat for a little while. Okay, let's try this. Nope.
Mhm.
And then you got to level 6. It's like, okay, now it's a 12-minute fight. Now it's like a
Mm.
15-minute fight. Just for them to keep getting an
Mm.
attempt at like, even if they
That
think they have it,
attempt.
just to make a chance. There was no
Yeah.
checkpoints, nothing like that.
Wow. All for 2 tokens in the blue. Interesting.
That's Mercury. That's Mercury. But for me, what I would love to have this to have done is if say, hey, they went through the black armory, they went through all this crazy puzzle, and just like be like, hey, they're working on getting it solved. They're working on like an orbital prime thing. Dato's doing his like binary translation and stuff like that. All of a sudden they do that, and then something like a dungeon opens, and we'd be like, holy, and then it opens for the community. That would be the point where I'd be like, hell yes. And that would be the
Mm.
proper sequence of events, in my opinion, because it needs to, if you're going to go through that much insanity, there better be
Yeah.
something really amazing behind it, because
That's what I'm saying.
and that was my big issue was risk, like the effort versus the reward isn't even close. And
Yeah.
then just locking out what you promised us for content, saying, "Hey, Niobe
Mhm.
Labs is a puzzle." You didn't say
Mhm.
it's like like a NASA cryptographer's like, sorry,
Mhm.
that's a map maker. A NASA a NASA code breaker's like puzzle challenge for the day or something like that. I'm like,
Right.
we're not rocket scientists, guys. I mean, they were
Right.
going for like French words and like Japanese, and you had like Norse words for trees and forests and every different spelling. I'm like, they're making so much crap up. It's insane. So, like, the theory behind it was cool, but it needed to unlock something like Shattered Throne, in my opinion.
Yeah. No,
It was not
that's
enough.
right.
So,
I think, yeah, I think, like I said, the thought was great. I don't mind secrets. I don't mind the community coming together. It's just the execution. It shouldn't lock content, like you said, and the reward better be something amazing. You know what I'm saying? At least, when you did all that stuff, when we got Outbreak Prime, back, we were like, okay, You know what I mean? Like this is solid. It had great DPS. It was good against bosses. It was good against single targets. You know what I mean? Ads and stuff like that. So I'm with you on that. I guess the last question I have on this before we move on with the with that Forge is what do you feel behind the decision making of Bungie to say, okay, you guys didn't figure it out. We're unlocking it. Like, what did you feel when you when you heard that?
Well, I can say Glad and Dado probably felt like I got slapped in the face, and I'm pretty sure Glad has a tweet out there that I can't even repeat.
Mm-hmm.
Like his word choice, I'm not going to say it on the podcast. So for them, it's like a slap in the face, unfortunately, because they spent all that time, and then they're like, "Oh, I guess it's too long. We did something too hard, so we're going to give you the content anyway." So for them, it's a really tough learning experience, unfortunately, and it's like the streamers are crazy. I mean, if you go look at like the stats like Glad posted about that stream, like, I mean, it worked in his benefit, even if he did, probably break his sleep cycle for about 2 days. But I mean, they brought the gaming community together. But then unfortunately, some people are also like, is this my brother, for example? It's just like, is this content in this like puzzle really meant for just like, 6 or 12 teams on Twitch? Like, is this just really a Twitch event? Is that all it is? So is this like, hey, are you just trying to, like a raid release, bump up this puzzle solving to raise Bungie up, or range Destiny 2, rise it up on the Twitch charts? Like, and that's kind of a weird question, but it's like, it's not wrong because, I mean,
ain't wrong.
It was up there in the top 10 for a couple days, and it'll fall down and it'll go back to kind of its, normal status. But that's kind of the issue, is when they saw there was an issue. I mean, I think it would have been better if they would have like tracked and been like, okay. And I think they gave one hint when they were stuck on 6 for, I don't know, 12 hours or some stupid amount. They were stuck on 6 for forever. And I don't think they've given a hint on 7. They needed to set expectations, I guess. And I think said Fred in chat was like, did they warn the community? And they could have been like, hey, we're going to give you guys 48 hours. Or it could have just been like, Niobi Labs is going to go live, and just said there is a puzzle in there. It's a puzzle, and just said that Bergusia Forge launches on Friday. If you guys finish this before Friday, then Bergusia Forge will be unlocked. Otherwise, it launches on Friday. If they would have said that, the expectation would have been different. So setting expectations, I think, was the other piece that they got wrong. And I think that's what burned a lot of people too, because for my brother, when he looks at the calendar, he sees Niobe Labs thinking it's like, hey, here's this thing for another forge, or is this going to be like a dungeon to a forge, or a little mini encounter? And then you get there, and then they can't even do anything, especially like, solo player, you can't even matchmake into anything. So it's like, what do you do? So yeah, setting expectations, I think, would have helped a lot.
I would agree, man.
And that's it. And that was the last word. Okay, we're good.
Continue. Literally, you knocked it out the park. You had the last word because literally, that was all my thoughts on it, and I just wanted to get your perspective, definitely from someone who was experiencing it, was going through it, and I just thought it was actually absolutely hilarious to see people losing their brain trying to figure out all these scientific equations and puzzles and language.
I mean, the translations, the like stuff they were trying to figure out. Stand on this symbol for morning, and then I figured out paper is also like missive, which is an old school word for a message. I was like, well, that learned something new. So all those little pieces were things that it was interesting, and they were kind of pulling from the other forges and symbols that we'd seen before. But man, they were like, those were some stretch puzzle like solutions. They were absolutely out there.
Yeah,
it was cool for me to actually be able to jump in with a couple other people, not get a full raid team, and actually kind of work on it. I like the 3-person feel. That was kind of cool. But yeah, expectations would have helped the whole situation not have been quite the bomb that it was. So
agreed.
So, so yeah, Forge is open. And then the other pieces, like, Niobe Labs, it's like, this forge, then Niobe Labs, and there'd been little things about their Bergusia Forge about lore, and we're like, hey, is this at least going to open some cooler forge, or like the ultimate forge? And from what I've seen, I haven't actually jumped in because I haven't finished the damn quest, but from what I've seen, it's just another forge. Like, I wish there would have been something a little bit more either mechanically different or just something else to this final one.
The same mechanics. He's just throwing the thing.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Like from what I've gathered, it's I mean, I looked around, like, I mean, I saw somebody, shooting a boss from a cliff. I saw him, like, just, killing enemies, throwing the orbs in. It seems like it's still a forge. So,
Hmm. Yeah, man. I mean, that's where I'm torn because at the end of the day, it's like, I want to like the concept of the content, but I just think that a lot of stuff is stretched. To be honest, I feel a lot of time gating stuff, a lot of DPS check stuff. If each forge had like tremendously different mechanics, because I actually don't mind it. I actually played the first one. I was like, you know what? I actually can get into this. It's because I like the timer of it. It's like, okay, boom, intensity. Let's go, let's go. Get the balls, throw the thing. Okay, cool. Melt the balls. Everything's on time, time, time. Like that. But if you're telling me like every encounter is kind of similar to that, and there's really no gameplay differences, you know what I'm saying? So that is where I struggle. I think each individual one needs to be very different from the other. They need to be unique to have that. You know what I mean? You know kind of what I'm getting at, E?
yeah, it's like I wish they had just a little bit more distinction to them,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
look at your phone, by the way.
Yeah, I'm checking it
Yeah.
out.
So, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's like it's been crazy. The forges have been interesting. I know some people enjoy the fact that, like, hey, I want to grind for this said pulse rifle,
Mhm.
for example. I was going for blast furnace, and all my rolls suck, so that's just still a work in progress.
Mhm.
But for me, I think there's just a couple tweaks that need to happen with the forges themselves, and just
Mhm.
all of kind of 8 of 1's experiences as you've been going through the quest, as you work on your weapon frames. They really need to like adjust the times we have to go to the tower. I know they gave us a new landing zone, but it's not like do these 3 things, go back to the tower. It's like just use voiceover and this stuff would go a lot faster.
Yeah.
Like that's just one thing I do have to like ask for
Mhm.
is because um
Mhm.
it's just like it's not necessary. You're going through so much work. You're like doing steps. You got to go back, talk to her, get some flavor text. Okay, go do this. Okay,
Mhm.
go do this strike. Okay, go talk to her. Go do that. It's like it's not necessary. If it was just like, hey, there's a quest step, or you click on the quest, and then it has the voiceover at the end, so it just has a longer ending to whatever you're doing, and you just like use the voiceover instead of having to travel back and forth. Please, that's my one ask about the forges, and then
Yeah.
and then the grind would not be bad. The grind would be better, honestly, if that was the way it could
Mhm.
work. So that's all. I had to
Absolutely.
get that little tidbit in there because I was grinding blast furnace, and you had to like if I could just go kill the enemies with pulse rifles, go get my
Mhm.
radiant seeds, and then just go straight to the forge. But I could
Mhm.
kill the pulse rifles, go here, go back to Ada, go back, do this, do it again. Like if it would just
Yeah,
be
it's too much back and forth.
yeah,
You know what I'm
it's
saying? Yeah,
just
it's
and
just
it's
yeah.
not necessary. There's no need to make that extra quest step in there. It's not like
Mhm.
I'm gonna go by the tower and swing by Eververse and spend some
Mhm.
money. It's like that is not even crossing my mind, especially because you gave us a landing zone. You're not even trying to do that. It's just it doesn't seem necessary. So
Yeah, I agree.
I hope that's a tweak that comes sometime down the road because it
Mhm.
desperately needs to happen if these things are going to hang around.
I agree.
All right, that little tidbit out of the way.
Mhm.
I think it's time
Ooh, what we
for
got?
this week at Bungie. And
Yes.
this is why I say if you guys see the icon on the top, that's like inside the Bergusia Forge. So that's actually the walls. I know what it looks like in there. I've seen
Mhm.
the pictures.
Mhm.
Um, so if you guys haven't seen the videos about like the Bergusia Forge, just looks kind of cool. But it is still a forge. Obviously, a giant
Mhm.
colossus. I think there might even be a tank in there.
Mhm.
But this is going to be live for both of us, so some of this is going to get read because I haven't read it yet. So you guys are going to get it live with us.
Mhm.
But not the way it's like. So they said the fourth forge was unlocked, but not the way we intended. Sometimes at Bungie we try new things. On many occasions in the past, we've enjoyed watching as the community work together to try and solve puzzles.
Mhm.
This was the idea behind Niobi Labs. As the puzzle hunt started to drag on for too long, Guardians watched from the sidelines, eager to forge some new weapons. The feedback was clear. Puzzles are fun, but not when they gate content you were expecting to play. We're flexible enough to change a plan when it's not playing out as we had hoped, and we decided to give annual pass owners access to the Bergusia Forge so it's open.
Mhm.
So they watched. I mean, they've made these are some of the quickest decisions they've ever made, though. Like
Mhm.
when it came to the first forge, they lowered it down 5 levels in 48 hours. They did this one in, I think it was
Mhm.
almost a little like 36 hours, or it was less than that, I think. So I mean,
Mhm.
they've been much more active in what they're doing.
Mhm.
Just as if feedback comes back, be like, hey, this is totally wrong. They're pretty quick
Mhm.
to fix it. So I mean, what do you think so far on that?
Yeah, I think ultimately it's a great reaction. They had to understand that the thing was going on too long. It's preventing people from going into the content. So for them to jump in, I actually didn't have a problem with it. I thought that was actually the right thing to do. They tried to do something new. They admitted it. And like I said, the feedback was clear. Puzzles are fun, but when you not at the as a gate content locker, so that part is cool. Then it's one of those things. Lesson learned. How to do something like that moving forward, never lock content, that kind of deal. So I'm glad they jumped out in front of it, just unlocked it. And again, I just literally thought this whole situation was humorous. I thought it was absolutely hilarious that it happened. So, again, lesson learned.
Yeah, so hopefully we don't have any more like, hey, here's this new quest. You got to go solve, rocket science first. So that shouldn't happen in the future. Or if it does, at least it'll be
Exactly.
to unlock something later that's kind of cool as opposed to what everybody expects. So surprises are fun. A surprise that you have to open like, a 16 key lock combination for, not so fun.
Not so fun. So that's it.
So they said Niobe Labs is still waiting to be solved. Some of the clues in Niobe Labs puzzle are not as clear as we intended. Our designers are looking into this, and we will have a clarifying update at 6 p.m. Pacific. Okay, so apparently that's going to happen. Well, that would be now. If you're interested in helping solve it, keep an eye. So I'll try at least and check on Bungie's Twitter over there because that should be up as of now. So I guess I'll go look.
Yes, let's check it out.
Over 9,000. Not entirely sure what that means.
Let's check
Before the
this out.
holidays, we mentioned some Sandbox changes. Oh, here we go. You'll definitely be talking about this one.
Somebody say Sandbox?
Sandbox. Here we
Let's
go.
go.
So we're excited to shake things up a little bit, specifically how your most powerful abilities spread destruction. I'm glad they said abilities because I don't want them nerfing powerful weapons right now because honestly, like they feel really good. I don't want them being like, oh, this stuff's too powerful. You guys are killing stuff too fast. Like, don't touch my Thunderlord. It's too good.
I know. I love Thunderlord.
It's broken, honestly, but in a great way. So
In a good way.
we're excited to shake things up a little bit, specifically how your most powerful. Said that already. Okay, so hello, super aficionados. It's Dan G here to tell you about upcoming changes to subclasses. See, remember when we talked before about those changes to those subclasses? It's about time.
I knew this was coming.
In the 2.1.4 update, you will experience fresh changes to most of the supers and a couple goodies here and there for the subclasses at large. If you want just the quick takeaway, damage was increased for most supers, sweet, and slightly reduced for Blade Barrage and Nova Warp.
Yeah, kind of needed.
Yep.
Needed.
Yeah, Blade Barrage is kind of broken. Nova Warp also broken in PvP. And we've injected a couple new tricks into some of the older subclass paths. Keep reading for a more detailed look.
Let's go.
I've been waiting on this since Forsaken launched. So
Let's go.
yeah, we both got some skin in this game. Josh Hamrick recently touched on our upcoming plans for the Sandbox, and we wanted to expand on our intentions a bit further. As frequently as possible, here are some of the goals. As frequently as possible, continue to shift the combat meta with Sandbox updates to keep Destiny fresh. I feel like they've said this before, but I've yet to see them actually follow through. So if they can actually make these changes quicker than, this is our Sandbox patch for the past 2 or 3 months. I still feel like the Sandbox patches have been the absolute slowest thing every time.
Yeah, it's always that notorious though. That's been their MO. Unfortunately, the Sandbox is always the last to get changed or updated, but at least we're getting it. So continue. What is it?
Investigate and improve outliers, underperformers in terms of popularity and or effectiveness to keep all of your Sandbox options feeling relevant. This is probably the one for me, is because as soon as the new supers came out, the old ones suck. I mean, in comparison, but it's the new Sentinel subclass in the middle tree just destroys the other two. The chain void grenades, my brother walks around and just throws one and you can clear a room. I was playing with Pyro the other night and he was you can clear out the first room of Zero Chi by yourself with Doomfang pauldrons and that explosiveness. It's awesome, but then you're like, why are the other two even there? So yeah, the underperformers need some love. Address major quality of life Sandbox issues reported by the community to maintain a smooth and consistent gameplay experience. Well, that sounds pretty obvious. In this specific update, our goal was to look at supers holistically across the board, bringing up damage where they underperform, fixing some major pain points, and adding new functionality. So, which supers got a bump? Damage increases. Golden Gun, 3-shot and 6-shooter. Shadow Shot, Mobius Quiver. Arc Staff, Burning Maul, which is good. Hammer of Saul, Code of the Siegebreaker, which I'm guessing is the non-Hammer Strike one. Fist of Havoc, Sentinel Shield, Nova Bomb, and Daybreak. Small damage decrease,
Interesting.
Blade Barrage, and Overwarp.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
most of the old ones, honestly.
Yeah, most of, but hold on, I'm feeling a little bit of a way though. As a warlock, I mean, I see Nova Bomb, Cataclysm, and Vortex. I gotta see, what they do with that, no doubt.
Why is
Well,
Stormtrance not on there?
oh, wait a minute, I'm bugging. Yeah, that's yeah. I'm like, am I bugging? Am I not seeing Storm
Yeah,
Trance?
tickle fingers are still going to be tickling.
We still tickling out here? Like this? What
I,
we doing?
I feel like that. I don't know. Like that one seems so
Like
doesn't.
I thought that was the obvious one, right?
Yeah,
I
like
thought that
that
was the
one. I
one for
mean, I
sure.
would have probably said that Burning Maul. I mean, Golden Gun, Arc Staff, like those. But like that one
Yeah.
should have been on the list. And like, at least I'm
Zero
guessing.
says Golden Gun. Yeah, Golden Gun definitely 3 shot, 6 shot. Golden Gun needed. We know that. You know what I'm saying? This is cool. I mean, actually, I'll just again nitpicking, just warlock nitpicking. Very surprised to see that they feel that Storm Trance is in a good place.
Yeah, that is
I,
kind of a weird
yeah.
thing. So, at some point, there's going to be somebody else going to be like, "Excuse me, Storm Transfer's all here. What's happening?" So,
Mm-hmm,
some guy in the back of the room is going to raise their hand at some point. So,
mm-hmm.
I do like Burning Maul because that one does feel, while it's kind of fun, no one uses it. Like that's one
Mm-hmm,
of the most that's like the most underutilized new one, I think.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, Nova Bomb getting a boost up because I mean some of the one and dones just can't keep up with something that can just like pump out so much damage. So that'll be
Yeah.
good. I'll be
Mm-hmm,
curious some of the tweaks they make, so that'll be kind of nice.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lord Zero's like Storm Trance clearly OP, working as intended. So this is the beginning of a process. We believe we found a good place around which to balance the subclasses. This means a few outliers will come down a bit, but most will be brought up. It will involve changes to super damage, tuning numbers on perks to make them more effective. Below you find the very start of these changes. If you don't see a particular improvement you were hoping for, know that there will be more to come. Please continue to let us know what you think. Well, I guess we'll see. So, what do we got? Hunter first. Golden Gun.
All right,
6-shooter kills, return a bullet.
Ooh, that's mean.
That's cool. But that
That's
also gives you like your
mean.
6-shooter in PvE. Like if you can start killing a whole bunch of stuff, bam, 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 like that could be cool.
Yo,
That's kind of fun.
yo.
That
That I,
actually that
I'm
that
curious about duration.
yeah, duration in PvP would be interesting.
Ooh, ooh, that could be scary based on
Practice makes
duration.
perfect super regen increase. I forget what that perk does. I'd have to look
I
it up.
forget what that one. Yeah.
So Blade Brush, the damage is now heavily weighted on the delayed explosion instead of the knife impact. Now deals self damage if the knives explode too close.
Close.
Yeah, you can't just have that like freak out moment and Blade Barrage me in a tiny hallway. You're gonna die too.
Yeah.
Because I literally was playing PvP today, just like one random match, like going into what is the one on the tower?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I forget the name of it. Yeah, I know the tower one is
Yeah,
literally
literally in the tower.
Bannerfall?
It was Bannerfall. I
Yeah.
forget what it is
Yeah.
now, but yeah, Bannerfall. Like in the back, back little baby kind of hallway behind like point B where the heavy would spawn. I was literally back there picking it up. He was just like, "Oh, freak out, Blade Barrage!" But yeah, hopefully, actually, he would die there. So maybe.
Yeah.
Fix the bug where the knives would track allies. Yeah, that'd be kind of a waste.
Yeah.
This Golden Gun change brings increased uptime with your super. For the way of the Outlier, this means a skill-based mechanic to extend it. For the way of the Sharpshooter, it's the ability to earn your super more quickly. I gotcha. That's the two differences. So,
Got it.
Golden Gun sounds kind of sweet, though.
Yeah, Golden Gun looks good. And you know what? It's an iconic class. Shout out to Zero to chat. He's going crazy. He loves hunters. He loves Golden Gun. You know what I'm saying? Skilled hunters only. And I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's kind of also iconic with Cade, right? So it's just like, at least what I think about Cade a lot. So to see that super get some love is long overdue. Golden Gun hunters, salute to you guys. This sounds really, really cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, should be pretty cool. Then Night Stalker. So Mobius Quiver, entire damage bonus is applied on the first hit instead of stacking and multiplying. Increased tether radius and lifetime. Made it easier to fire successive tethers. Well, that's all sounds good. So I mean, tethering hopefully should be a bit more viable. Pretty much always a good thing across the board.
Right.
And then we've got Spectral Blades. Damage, resistance, and stealth is decreased, so hopefully you're a little easier to kill if you're half invisible. Duration of super while invisible slightly decreased. I mean, it was busted. And it's even really broken with, I forget what exotic it is. I can't remember it. My brother got it too. But yeah, there were people who just like they do like a little quick like dodge flip and they'd get more of their super energy. It was really, really broken. So I'm sure that will be hopefully kind of brought in check. This is one step for Shadow Shot, and we intend to keep improving the way it works. For this pass, we focused on Mobius Quiver quality of life. So
okay, all right, we can dig it.
Arc Strider, not one you see hardly at all. Super damage is now more heavily weighted toward the heavy palm strike attack. No attack damage was reduced, but much of the added damage for the super went into the heavy attack. Lethal current bonus damage increased.
Okay.
Thank you, Soundwaves. It's the Gwison. I can never say Gwisinvest or whatever.
Gwisinvest. Yeah.
Arc Strider. I mean, I don't see him often. It has its kind of perks in places, but generally not one that I would say is still looking like it got a ton. But we'll see how it goes. Titan. We got Sunbreaker, part of my world. So Sunpots double the damage of the burn on enemies. Finally, kind of a use. Buff length increased from 3 seconds to 5 seconds. Now increases all outgoing damage.
Wow. Oh, that's a big deal. That's a big output.
Burning Maul, slam radius increase, slam fire tornado, improved homing.
It'll be hard to run away from them.
Have you ever actually used those things in PvP?
I've been hit by them.
Yeah, I was like, I did it before and I didn't even know it tracked. But if you could do it, you could slam and half curve it around a corner, I swear. So
yeah, pretty much.
But it just says slam radius increased. I guess they did crank up the damage too. So all this combined, I don't know if Burning Maul can actually be worthwhile to use in like a PvE strike or something to really pump some damage out.
Yeah,
we'll see. But it's got to be worth the risk because I can throw hammers from across the map, do a lot of damage. So if I got to be close enough to like send the tornado up there, it better hit hard.
Absolutely.
Sentinel, super damage is more heavily weighted on heavy shield charge attack. No attack damage was reduced, but much of the added damage was for the super went into the heavy attack. So that's some of the tweaks they're saying is like they did add damage, but more to the super, to the big heavy attack, not the bam bam. It's the poof. Yep. Striker, terminal velocity. There are now 3 tiers of hang time. The amount of hang time for each tier has been reworked. Each tier of hang time now causes 4 damaging shocks instead of 3. The damage for hang time bonuses has been increased, and then trample, which I don't even know off the top of my head. I probably should. Be nice if I actually look some of this up, but that's fine.
Well, now, in your defense, we're doing this live.
Yeah, we are doing it live.
First time looking at this 12.
Yeah,
no research, just off top.
The light shoulder attack super cost has been reduced by 85. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Damn. Oh, is that just like the running shoulder, like just
like
running shoulder charge? Sounds like it.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
trample can now be triggered every 0.5 seconds, up from every one. Damn, just poof, 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 poof. Like that sounds rough. Or if you're running around killing ads, just enemy. It's like if you can kill a whole bunch of ads really quick, just dashing around everywhere, you're gonna be like Superman and Man of Steel. It's a fun image. For Code of the Earth Shaker, the changes to terminal velocity should make it more engaging. The first tier is now easier to achieve. For the second tier, you'll probably want some high ground, but if all you have is flat land, a directional slam near the peak of your lift can proc it. Finally, there's a new third tier that will require some serious height to activate. On top of that, you'll not only need to land your hang time slams, but also do it quickly enough to get in all 4 possible to maximize damage. So,
okay,
I didn't even notice I caught that. So each tier now causes 4 damaging shocks instead of 3. So you have 4 slams instead of 3.
How are you feeling about this, Titan?
I mean, that sounds good to me. I don't see a problem.
It sounds good to me.
I mean, it's like I don't see. It's roaming supers are tough though. Like, I mean, as a warlock, you're roaming super as Arc. I mean, how does that really feel?
Listen, as far as the
tickle fingers, yeah, that's your roaming super.
Yeah, it's just still trash to me. I mean, it doesn't do enough damage, and it's we'll get to Warlock, but
it's like it's just that risk of like being your super, but you have to run the whole way. Like Thunderstrike, I fly across the map, or if you're Chaos Reach, you Kamehame halfway across the map. So I mean, that stuff's just like quick, fast, and like halfway away. This stuff is, I mean, you got to cover ground and be in there. So this actually sounds pretty cool. Code of the Juggernaut. If you play it right, you can extend your super for minutes. I'm reading that right? Minutes in PvE. I know this sounds crazy, but it takes foresight and strategic choices. The light shoulder attack is almost a movement mode with the new cheaper cost. With the increased mobility, you should be able to lay some shoulder on bigger targets and then go on a run for little guys to rebuild your super energy. That is Okay, that actually sounds crazy that you can rebuild your super energy.
Rebuild it. Yeah, let's reread that.
Oh, that's what he's saying, but I'm trying to figure out Code of the Juggernaut. We're still.
Mm-hmm. You
Is
play it
it
right.
Sentinel? Super damage more heavily? No. I'm gonna have to look that one up. Like that
Yeah,
seems kind of insane. Hold on.
we got to research it. That sounds crazy.
Yeah, I got a Code of the Juggernaut. Hold on, guys. Sorry, unprepared.
Dude, this is live. This is live feedback right now.
All right, come on, dude.
Right off the top, man. Right off the top. But yeah,
Size
that
map.
sounds crazy. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It's kind of the change drum about your first second tear down. You want to for the code. If you play it right, you can extend
I
your
can't see
super.
the code. Like which one's which tier?
Yeah. That's saying you're not able to see it.
Yeah, I don't know, but potentially that could be kind of amazing. So look forward to some
Mm-hmm.
fun with that. Is pretty much all I can say.
Mm-hmm.
Warlock, it's
All right,
yours.
let me get it. There we
I was
go.
like, it's yours. Yeah, all
I'm
yours.
waiting. All right. Dawnblade changes. All right. Super duration increase. That's a big one. I think bottom tree warlock Dawnblade is not much a problem because I believe one of the perks that if you hit someone with a Dawnblade with the bottom tree, it would kind of semi extend it like Chaos Reach a little bit, like as long as you keep getting kills with it. But top tree warlock, this is actually going to benefit top tree, but I'll be honest, I'm a little disappointed not seeing, I thought I would see more with top tree Dawnblade. A little disappointed here because that's the one that, plays on airplay and jumping in the air and having in-air accuracy and getting abilities back. So to see nothing with that is, yeah, shout out, yeah, what's up, Chugga fan? He said, yes, bottom tree and it has homing. Yeah, so for bottom tree Dawnblade, this is gonna be nice.
Yeah.
And extending long, but top tree, yeah, it's a little buff, but I was hoping more. But let's get into it. Voidwalker changes Cataclysm, increased detonation radius, cluster damage increased, improve cluster bomb homing to make it more consistent against single targets, and cluster bombs no longer detonate one another. This
All
is a
good
big deal.
things.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's because I honestly didn't feel Cataclysm was that much of a problem. I felt it was very powerful if used right. So that pretty much is Slova, right?
Yeah.
Slova is going to be a problem now. I'm just all I can think of is Escalation Protocol right now. So I'm excited. You know what I'm saying?
It's
So we
gonna explode. Yeah.
yeah. So then we got Vortex. Okay, linger damage increased slightly. Okay.
Nice.
Nova Warp. Here we go. Slower movement while charging. Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, you can kind of hunt people down, but don't worry, Warlocks. We got a way to get past that. Just blink and just jump. You'll be fine. Oh, charging costs more energy and overall duration is reduced. Now that's fair, yeah, because I mean it didn't cost a lot and it went too long. That's the issue. You in that Nova Warp for as long, for the almost you can kill a full 6 stack and then wait for someone to respond and still have enough super energy to kill somebody. So yeah, damage resistance reduced very slightly. I hope so, not too much. PvP damage reduction. Ooh, okay. Charge detonation will no longer be able to one-shot another player in their super. Oh, provided it has damage resistance. That's a big deal. That's a big deal right there.
Charge detonation will not be able to one shot another
One
player
shot
in there.
another. So if you got your super, you're coming at me. I can't one shot you with a charged Nova Warp.
Yep.
Provided that it has damage resistance. That changes the game because Nova Warp would be able to compete and eliminate other supers. So if the super, if I'm reading this correctly, does not have damage, if the super has damage resistance,
Like if you're not matched, if you're not running void,
yeah,
then you should actually survive a shot.
yeah. And then the note summed up: Nova Bomb now not just for large groups.
Yep.
The Nova Bomb changes above all small, but we think together this will help bring it down into a good place, a place similar to the supers that we're raising up. Hold on, Stormcaller. Here we go. Changes, Storm Trance, increased number of targets. Praise us. Here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Give me something. Increased
I was
number.
like, this is like the tiniest thing for you to be excited about. I gotta
I'm
be honest.
excited. That's a big deal. Listen, you tickle fingers out here. This is a big deal because if you're chaining two or three. I think maybe most you could chain is two. Now, if three of you guys are all in that, sitting there camping out with your whatever you're doing, with your lunar howl and all that y'all running with it, and I come by that wall clamped up, if y'all bunched up, that's a big deal. Increasing down the target is a big deal, especially if you're running what's the helmet? Crown of Tempest. So get that going on. All right. So anyway, well, my part of the 12 is super over. Thanks for reading. Okay, he's excited. Yada yada yada. He said this is the current plan, but things could change in the next few weeks. The official patch notes will ship when the update is currently slated for January 29th. So we got about another week or two before we get into that. But yeah, man, I mean, for the most part, pretty cool. Just would like some love for from the Warlock standpoint, as far as the top Dawnblade tree would have been nice. You know what I'm saying? Void Walker, I was like, wow, they really trying to make that more sexy. You know what I'm saying? That's cool. And Nova Walk, for as much the super thing scares me a little bit, but everything else is fair play, y'all. That has to happen. But what you got? Making matches?
Yeah. So next week we will adjust matchmaking settings in competitive. This probably is long overdue. The change is scheduled to take effect on January 15th, 10 a.m. So that'll be weekly reset if my days are correct. Yes. So weekly reset. The World Systems team has been gathering feedback and using it in conjunction with player data to make the next change for how we match opponents in the competitive playlist. We will be changing the matchmaking parameters so that opponents you find in competitive matchmaking will be closer to your glory rank. So this is one of those things I thought they already did.
Yeah, I thought they did this already.
While the imbalanced match can still happen, we believe this change will reduce the number of occurrences dramatically. Players may experience longer matchmaking times as we'll try to ensure a good glory rank match before opening up the search criteria. Thank you so much for your feedback. Please keep it coming. Like, this is one thing I feel like that was mentioned before, and now they're just saying they're doing it now. So
yeah.
why do I feel
like
guys?
we read this? Yeah, I feel like we read this already.
There's probably a Flashpoint out there where we're like, oh, okay.
And yeah, we were like, okay, thinking it was already implemented at this point. So, again, I got to jump on the imbalanced match part. I mean, listen, I got to listen. PC Master Race, I love y'all since I've been here, but we got to talk about this. We have to talk about this because, I would say if I had to put a ratio, I'm in competitive a lot. I've been playing a lot. I've been actually playing more competitive on PC because things just feel so much better. And I have to say, I would put a ranking about 60%, more than half of the matches I'm in competitive. I'm like, it's some undermanned foolishness going on. And then, obviously we don't have the join in option. So listen, I'm willing to wait in orbit, for that fourth guy. I'm cool with that. So, if they're saying that we're going to experience longer matchmaking times, that's cool. But they've got to get that going on. They've got to get this. I feel like like you said, we keep talking about it. So why isn't it implemented? You know what I'm saying? That's all I got. I had to last on that one.
No, I mean, that's why for me, I just always hear about matchmaking and just so much in competitive. Like, yeah, it's going to be sweaty and maybe like Not Forgotten seems so far out of reach for me. Luna's Howl, if I actually put some time in and really found a group, maybe just because like I hear like that up to that glory rank. But if you get above like 3,000, you may as well just like get ready to sweat. Like, it's going to be crazy. So maybe this actually, if it's finally in effect, which I'm glad I still haven't done it yet because apparently it hasn't been there. So I don't know. This is just one thing I'm reading, and I'm like, I swear we've talked about this before. So it just seems weird that they're saying it again. So maybe this will give me a reason to go into competitive, but I still don't have much of a like PvP team on PC. So I mean, you get one or two more of your guys up, we might be able to run. But I don't do the competitive that much because PvE is my forte. PvP, I am only okay. Mediocre at best, and in competitive, I'm probably pretty terrible, actually. So if this actually helps it make it somewhat balanced, this should have happened a long time ago, honestly. That's competitive. It's meant to be a ranked playlist. Like, I'm sorry, but if I step into competitive, my glory rank is like 25. There's no way in hell I should see anyone with a glory rank like, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. That shouldn't even be close.
Exactly. And I'm with you, man.
So. All right, I will say the damn art team's good because that picture looks good.
Fire.
Looks pretty good. So Iron Banner is coming back. Saladin is making his regular visit at the tower next week with Iron Banner first in 2019. He'll bring weapons and armor, of course, as usual. It's going to be control. We know all of that. Looks like we've got submachine gun. That's a sniper.
Is that Hero's Burden again?
I thought that was just here.
Yeah, bro, we already had Heroes. Are they giving us Heroes Burden again?
That's what it looks like.
Oh Lord.
I mean, this one looks new, but that one looks like a year old.
Yeah, that's like too bad. Oh my God. Yeah, we got to talk about that, man. Come on, y'all. Like, you can't be giving us Heroes Burden again, back to back. We should have been got because before it was Heroes Burden and Criminal's Dagger.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah,
I remember
and
that.
Now it's just a new sniper now. That's literally what it is. But anyway.
Yeah. Maybe they're just like, you guys really want this sniper. I don't know. Snipers and like snipers outside of Whisper for its like boss damage, snipers have not had as much of an appeal for me in general since Destiny 2 came out. Like they just haven't been there because they were stuck in power for one, and even when they switched over, I have so much more ammo with like my pulse go figure. Scouts still aren't that great, so I mean, it doesn't feel like snipers have much use in general. I mean, some people are good in PvP, and that's a different animal, and maybe this thing has perfect perks for it. But yeah, snipers still don't have that much appeal for me. But it looks cool at least.
I agree. They still have to do something with snipers. They still have to do something. It's still not in a good place. It's just not. I completely agree with you. Cyril says he rocks Borealis all the time. Yeah, I mean, there's exceptions to the rule.
Yeah,
obviously.
so there you go. Borealis, soloing Nightfall, Borealis, if you got to go match game, it's perfect. You can switch up. You got a decent amount of ammo. Going to hit hard. It's going to pop whatever shield you're looking at. So, I mean, they have their places, and I was even messing around with Tatara Gaze just because I was running something, and I was popping Captain Shields and actually got the shield disorient, and it actually kind of worked. So, I mean, they have moments, but in general, it's not... It doesn't quite have the feel like D1, like whether it was Icebreaker just busting stuff up, or they just don't quite have it back yet. So
I agree.
Where are my keys? Dude, where's my car? Shredding guitar. Shortly after the launch of Destiny 2, Destiny player support has been monitoring reports describing intermittent guitar errors in the final encounter of Last Wish. These errors have been especially impactful for players attempting Petra's Run. That would piss me off. I know it would. That's why I haven't even tried. Which requires, without any deaths. So after comprehensive investigation, we currently believe Last Wish guitar errors occur when players hit the limit on the number of server-controlled objects within a single area. This issue is exacerbated during the final encounter in Last Wish when encounter-specific objects are left over from the Riven fight. Reaching this limit causes the server to crash, yada yada. Our teams are working to identify the root cause. So I guess pick up all your... I don't know, it seems weird, just like pick up everything on the ground you can, but it still seems very odd. So.
Yeah.
All right, Forge stuff. We've got Obsidian Accelerator, which I definitely don't have any of those yet. We're investigating an issue where the Obsidian Accelerator, in which the item is discarded when players hit the use button. That sucks.
That sucks.
Players should turn this item into Ada-1 instead of... Oh, yes. Okay, so that's like an item that will... It like goes into one of the Black Armory weapons, but you have to like take it to her to get the actual version you put in. Which is just, again, another reason to go back to Ada. Why are we going back to her so often? It's, again, an unuseless... Just like, it's not just used to get rid of it. It's like, okay, use that and put it in the weapon. Just take the step out.
I'm wondering if it's coding because it seems like everything, almost every aspect involving her, it has a step to go back to her. Like the game needs to register something, but whatever. Continue.
As the traffic drives by.
The traffic goes by.
Key mold and mysterious box. We're investigating players' reports that the Black Armory key mold, which I did get but I haven't touched yet, becoming available first character, only becoming available on the first character it's received. I haven't even touched my other character, but I'm really not looking forward to that. I don't know which character I picked it up on, but I guess I might be limited if it does. Forge key issues. Mastersmith Triumph. Doesn't count rare research frames. Laymonarch Poison Arrow perk. Where Poison Arrow perks on Laymonarch Exotic Bow is inconsistent over long distances. I could actually see that, honestly, because I've messed with that bow, and my bows I usually use as a sniper. So, yeah, kind of makes me wonder. I mean, I'm not a perfect shot because it's got to be in that little perfect zone for the poison explosion, but, yeah, that's kind of a thing. Forge and Fire can't be claimed after players complete their Forge and Fire badge. Yeah, they got some issues with Black Armory and, like, weapon frames. How many weapon frames have you really done?
I'm on frame 2. All right now.
Okay, yeah.
I
So
gotta ask you a question because now that I've been playing, I'm actually playing Black Armory now. Like I literally am starting to play it now. Like, do those frames for her rotate? You know,
yeah,
as
they rotate.
so is that a reset thing?
Yeah, it's a weekly reset. So they
Now,
rotate once a week. The powerful frames.
right now, the last question I have on the powerful frame. If I have one to unlock now, do I lose that ability? You have to use it on the week that's acquired?
So if you have the bounty in your inventory,
Mm-hmm.
that will carry over. But if you click on the bounty and then you have the ballistics logs in your inventory, that
Mm-hmm.
won't carry over.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough.
So pretty much they're limiting you to 2 a week because there's 3 of them you can pick from.
Mm-hmm.
Now the only problem I've had with that, say I'm taking my Titan through the Izanami Forge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I do the powerful weapon frame, and I'll get to that in a second, Zero. So I go through the Izanami quest line. Then for each forge, when you unlock it, you do one specific weapon. So in that one, it's the bow. Well, that counts as one of your powerful weapon frames. And then if I use one of those ballistic slugs for another powerful weapon frame, that's it. That's my 2. So if you're unlocking forges, even though there's 2 weekly bounties, you could get screwed out of one of them. So that's one of those things to keep in mind as well.
Gotcha. Fair enough. No, hey, I'm glad you. I mean, listen, I'm actually enjoying the content now that I've unlocked it and I'm at the power level to do it, kind of thing, you know. And again, there's a couple of missteps here and there with the way certain things been handled, and I just want a little bit more complexity. But moving forward, we have to see if they stick with this annual pass structure. I'm very curious about that. Was that something that was implemented by Activision as a compromise for them to continue to bring out content? We're going to learn a lot, man. We really are. We're going to learn a lot. I'm very curious moving forward how this thing goes.
Yeah, I think that'll
Joe
be
asked you about. Did you answer Zero's question about the augmented?
Yeah, so I was just letting you wrap up. So augmented weapons, you guys will see those at Ada. So the powerful weapon frames, those will drop at powerful gear bounty level. So those will be for that. Augmented weapons will take one of them specifically I did today. It's an augmented weapon frame for Dreaming City. And you'll go do things in the Dreaming City like 3 public events or 3 lost sectors. When you then have that frame, you take it to the forge and then you actually kind of unlock the frame. You can click on it and get the gun. What it will do is drop a weapon that has an extra perk option on it. So take a normal weapon, for example, like my Duke, or that one's bad because the perks are weird. A normal Tiger Spite, you're going to get, your barrels, you'll get your magazine options, say, or something like that. And then you have your 2 perks. But they're stuck. Now, if you do an augmented weapon, that first perk tree is going to have 2 options on it. So in a sense, you could have, I'm trying to think what can fall in that department.
Yeah,
Kill Clip and Rampage, for example. I don't know if they both fall. You could have the option of both. If you're lucky enough. Like, if you get an absolute god roll. Like, you could get, or no, it would be Outlaw. Or say, like, Outlaw and Feeding Frenzy. I think that's what would fall there. Maybe you could have both or something like that. You'll get 2 options in that first perk roll, and then the second one is set. So it'd be nice if augmented weapons kind of had both. So like if you're going for a random roll on a Dreaming City weapon, you could have 2 options like for each perk. But it's they're ones if you're like, hey, I'm looking for just a good Tiger Spite, auto rifle. Pick up the Dreaming City augmented bounty, do that, and see if you can get a roll. Because those are usually going to be specific to those areas. There's a Dreaming City one. There's usually one related to Vanguard weapons. I'm sure there's probably a Crucible one. So you're going to have different weapon pools that each augmented weapon frame can pull from. So you can kind of pick and choose what you're trying to grind for. So it gives you an option for stuff like that.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been a busy week. 2019 is off to a crazy start, indeed. Yesterday, we shared with you some news about the future of Bungie. Bungie.
Bungie?
Apparently, it's been a day, so...
Al Bundy he came out with a statement.
Words are hard, guys. Words are hard.
It's all good.
Don't expect these changes behind the scenes to impact our plans for Destiny or the current rollout of content calendar. Iron Banner starts next week. A quest to earn a story-to-hand cannon is coming up. I'm super ready for the subclass changes that come along with it. So that'll all be on the 29th. So when that comes, we'll get the patch changes, Sandbox, all that stuff's coming. And thank you for going on this journey with us. So that is That's the TWAB. So
That's
nothing too crazy in there. They're not gonna like spill the beans on all the business stuff. That's just not gonna happen.
clearly.
So
So how excited
yeah.
are you moving forward, man? Like, how do you feel? We've digested the information. We've got the state of, Bungie's official statement. We've heard Activision statement. How are you feeling moving forward, and more importantly, Destiny 3? Like, where's your head at with this?
Ugh. I mean, the rumors we heard of more RPG type stuff, maybe that was a clash of like, hey, this is where we want to take it. We think this is what our audience is going to want. Activision's like, no, let's not do that. That kind of narrows your player base. And maybe that was like a clashing point.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's not even Destiny 3. Maybe it's called something else. I mean, honestly, I don't know on like what is to come. I am excited as to the. There are little teases we get of things like a healing grenade from a Warlock,
Mm-hmm.
the Sentinel shield, like
Mm-hmm.
walking around being basically just a giant tank. There's little pieces as you watch some of the footage that's trickling out about Anthem of when you truly have classes.
Right.
Like they have like the Colossus. That's your big hunk of chunk of tank. I mean, that's your big boy with a giant shield who's gonna like taunt and take like aggro and damage and just beast mode it, like, and gonna be able to take it. And then you've got like your little, nimble interceptor who's gonna run around and do those little pieces. So those are like the classes of an RPG that I still kind of miss. And that's
Yeah.
one thing I've asked even like eons ago, just like one of those wishes. I wish we could have more, and this comes back to like stats on our characters and things like that. And there's even one when I was looking at like the mods. I was like, please just get us some numbers. Because if I just like throw, it says like, magazine mod, it's like says an up arrow. Well, is it going to give me one or two?
Mm-hmm.
Little things like that, which I feel things like, Division and Anthem, that stuff is coming, and those are going to have their RPG pretty deep elements. And I think some of those things are what some of us enjoy. And if you don't have to dive in too deep, you may not have to worry about it. If you still pick up a good gun and you're like, hey, this is cool. But if somebody wants to go like full min-max mode, it's kind of hard to do that in Destiny.
No, I agree. I agree, and that's the thing that excites me a little bit because, shout out to Zero. He's said bonuses. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a
It's
must.
one of them things that you just say, okay, Forsaken is their vision and what they co-signed. You know what I mean? Now, do we get that hardcore? You know, do we get that the min maxing? Do we get that real deep intrinsic meta game that we're still being able to really isolate certain aspects of the game, armor, you know what I mean, like you said, stat pieces, like things like that, things that kind of like the Division and stuff does very well. It's very interesting that this change is happening now, and just to see, because we all know the competition is thick, right? Shout out to B Money in the chat. He said, yeah, he wants to see more RPG elements have an effect on classes and really define classes. Yeah, he's right. And I totally agree with what you and he are saying, because it's like, does Bungie being free from Activision allow them to truly give us those hardcore MMO sensibilities, right? Do we get that level? Because that was the thing with D2. When D2 launched, it was we felt the over casualization, and some would say the Activision effect, right? That was driving people crazy. The hardcore were pissed off. So there's this current, there's always that shift between the hardcore and the casual. And definitely, these guys are stockholders. They want to get as many people in there. But let's just say now Destiny doesn't become that game. It becomes the hardcore game. Maybe, then we got to talk about the model, right? What happens with the model? Another question I got for you, E. What about a possibility? I know this may sound scary to some,
Nope.
but free to play.
I don't know if they can do that, honestly. I don't know if this game is built for that, at least. I mean, it doesn't feel that way. It's like you don't just have like one map that you're making some tweaks on, like a Fortnite where you just release skin after cosmetic, and then stuff's just like stuff you can purchase. I mean, they've got to put time into rendering and like new worlds and areas and planets and guns. Like, I don't think the free-to-play piece works quite as well in this model just because of what it takes to do this. On the other side, what do you think about a subscription? Like, completely flip the script. Like,
I know. It is interesting because there's many routes this can go. and I'm dying. I do think my gut tells me they are not going to get in bed. But anyway, shout out to my Xbox guys. You know what I'm saying? I know they saw the tweet. You know, Phil Spencer. The minute it was like, you know what it felt like. It felt like like two people going out. You know, they break up, and then like the minute that you found out the chick is single, like Phil pulled up and so hey,
how you doing? It's like Joey and Friends. How you
yes.
doing? Yeah.
Exactly. How you doing? You know what? You know you're valued over here. We can't wait to see what you do. And surprisingly, Bungie was receptive. I'm not gonna look more into this, thing, but it was just funny how quick that was. And we obviously know the relationship. We obviously know Microsoft is in a completely different place. But I do think, and it's gonna piss my Xbox guys off, I don't think it's beneficial for them, honestly, to go back to that kind of a structure. I think it's probably best for them to stay multi-plat. You know what I'm saying? And unless there's some ridiculous deal, but I still can't see a scenario where they accept any deal that gives Destiny kind of exclusivity. You know what I'm saying? So I think the exclusive era is done. That's my gut. That's my prediction. That's what I'm rolling with. You know what I'm saying? And we'll see what happens, man. The chat got some great questions right now. But what do you think? And then we'll jump into the chat.
Of like what? Just like subscription or?
Oh no, as far as now, besides the subscription thing, do you think they remain independent? Or
I mean, I
because
think that was the whole goal. I
yeah.
mean, I don't think they're just going to be like, hey, we'll do this. Now, where they
Mhm.
go for distribution, do they like pull PC and eventually transfer in the API and all their data? Do they move that stuff off of Battle.net? Do they move it over to Epic? Do they go to Steam? I mean, those are sides of PC. You're still going to have Xbox and PlayStation. It's like Bungie still works with them. So, I mean, some of those deals and things may or may not be there. They may not have like the same promotion at E3. But I mean,
Mm.
honestly, D3 seems to, like that's coming. Like, is it on PlayStation stage now? Maybe not.
See, now this is what I predict. Now you get into what I was going. See, what I predict is they stay independent, but like, see, Zero's question is like, do you think, he said, let's say Destiny 3's hype is building, they toss Xbox into Game Pass, I mean, D2 into Game Pass. I can see scenarios like that where they say, you've got the marketing deal, right? Whereas they're not going to do exclusive content, but kind of like Anthem. Anthem's not doing exclusive content when they debuted on the Xbox stage, right? It was just that, Microsoft had the ability to present it first, right? And same thing with Division. Like, there wasn't exclusive content on Division that Xbox had that PlayStation didn't have, but it was associated with the marketing rights. So I'm very curious if anything, Xbox has a chance is that. But I think I agree, B Money. I think they need to go anywhere they can. I think that we'll probably see it outside of like Steam or possibly Epic, but seeing how aggressive Epic has been lately, especially with Epic taking the division right now, that's a big deal. I see them trying to be as much place, and don't underrate the AdSense situation with the mobile. That's a big deal too. And I'm very curious to see what happens there as well.
The what? AdSense? What are you
What's
talking
that?
about?
Not AdSense. What's I
Net
always call them
NetEase?
NetEase. Yeah, my bad. I call them AdSense.
I'm like, that's Google's AdSense,
Yeah,
dude. Your
Google
mind's
that.
somewhere
I'm thinking
else.
about the money. I'm thinking about the
Yeah.
money. My bad. NetEase. Why do I always confuse that? But you're correct. NetEase. Like, I'm very curious about what happens. You know what I'm saying? Because they're an investor. They, listen,
I
they're
mean, they
still.
dropped 100 million in there, so there's definitely some. They have some major skin in the game. I mean, whether that was the thing that pushed them over to be like, hey, we can have some freedom with this. Whether NetEase is like, hey, we're gonna take a 10% stake in the company, but you guys can take this to invest and start growing, and then they have that on their back end for profits and stuff like that. I mean, that could have been just a negotiation for them to be like, hey, where can we get our freedom? Okay, NetEase has $1 gazillion. Can we get some of it? Like, I mean, that could have been just part of that to help them get their freedom. Have a small stake, but probably not much of a say because, NetEase may, be like, hey, you guys have some good content. Let's get behind them. And that was just investment they chose to make. So in my mind, I mean, but it's like, can you go Steam and, I mean, Epic Games Launcher, can you put, it'd be really hilarious to see like, hey, would you like featured games? And it's like Steam's launcher but it's like out in Epic and you have like Division 2, go to the next page, Destiny 2. And so like, that's weird.
Yeah,
That would
it
just
is.
look really, really odd. So
I could see exclusivity. I could see, if Epic or one of those guys aggressive and trying to, back up someone, which would benefit Bungie, right? Because
No.
they're playing these guys. They clearly are hitting off Ubisoft with some cash to be able to get that level of exclusivity for Division 2.
Yeah, but
So
if they pulled him off Steam, it's definitely something. But also for Bungie, I mean, they've got to look out. If you go to Epic, it's like you're just getting more bang for your buck. I mean, people like Fortnite's everywhere, so most people have it anyway, and it's just like it's another launcher. It's just BattleNet's the same thing. It's just a way to launch the game. And if Bungie gets more money and they're independent and they can take the money, then what's wrong with that?
yeah, it's all interesting, man. The future is interesting, but it's exciting. We get to see what happens. We get to see what happens to this game that we love. They've got their independence now. Free at last, free at last. So you can do it. You can do your MLK speech now. But at the same time, there's a lot of responsibility to that, and that I want to see how they handle that, how the content drops, how the monetization, all that good stuff, and also the exclusivity, how they handle that aspect as well. So, hopefully, come September or next Comet expansion, we will get more clarity. And I'm very curious to see at that point, do all the PlayStation exclusives kind of like revert back at that moment? So it's interesting. It's interesting, man. This is really exciting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even Zeros in chat is asking about like the Warframe route. I mean, they're totally free to play, and they get their funds in different. I mean, they have to have been like evaluating business models, see what works, see what can work for them, testing stuff over time. I mean, is Eververse going to be a thing? Chief is asking about a mobile Destiny. I don't think that's going to happen. I think NetEase is more of like an investor, not trying to get Destiny on a phone.
But they have a very background in that route. And I got to shout out Matt Piscatella from MPD. He had put a tweet. He said everyone's celebrating, and he said, I get it. He said, but their investor, they have those options. They're gonna want certain options. Now, it may not be. Maybe it's not Destiny. Maybe it's another game that Bungie's working on, or maybe some mobilized version or something, in that effect that could be different, or maybe like a companion. I don't know, but they have a foundation based in mobile gaming. AdSense, aka NetEase. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, just so much stuff is up in the air. It's like there's almost more questions than answers at this point. I don't even know how to like catch up. Like we're just gonna have to wait and see. So far, Bungie's still gonna give us the content they're promised. So I mean, if you got your annual pass, that's not changing. I mean, the annual pass is definitely going to be an interesting year for them to learn and see if this is what they stick with. If they're going to have all these changes of what's to come, I mean, this may have been their plan with Activision behind them for the next few years, but going into the future, I mean, this may be a completely different business plan now. So I'm along for the ride. As you guys know it, we're crazy Destiny fans. So we'll be here for the journey, but where it goes, your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's all I got, man. Unless you got something else.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know why I feel like this thing was going to be longer. We do this every time. We feel like we're going to have like a gazillion things to talk about.
Yeah.
We're done in like an hour and a half. We have like 3 topics, and we go off like on crazy tangents. And 2 hours later, we're like, we need to work on wrapping this thing up. So
it is true. This is what I thought would be much longer, but yeah, we got most of it out, man. But got the last word out on it.
Yeah. So hopefully the new name sticks. Hopefully you guys like it. We will work on, kind of finalizing some graphics. I just threw something up today just so we could have something for you guys to look at. But yeah, Bungie will continue doing their things. We've got patches coming up in a couple weeks. A little bit of, matchmaking coming up next week. Shadow Throne's out there, guys. Have fun in that one. The new Forge. Maybe the puzzle will get solved. Maybe it won't. We'll see at some point if they finally drop a hint like a month later. Be like, all right, seriously, guys?
Yeah,
I wonder when it's actually going to get solved. Like, what's your over-under, like, at this point? Because I don't know if people have just given up.
I'll probably say like another week. I mean, what's up with your Android friend? Did he figure it out yet? The one that's not human, the T1000.
Oh, Esoteric? No.
Yeah.
No, not yet. I think he's just like kind of been putting up videos like showing what goes so far, but I don't think he's figured it out yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think give the community a little bit more time. I think, maybe another, I would say like a week or two. I'll say a week, they get it done. But I just want to know, if you solve it, happens? Like, what is the reward for that? I'm dying to know that.
It's like I thought it was just like, Shader and Sparrow or Ghost or something like that. From some tweet somewhere, I thought I saw that. So if that really is all it is and there's no other hidden opening, nothing, then I'm probably going to be pretty disappointed.
Yeah, that's one thing you would hope. So, we'll see, man. But I get it. A mistake, lesson learned. Do not lock content, what I'm saying, behind some crazy
absolutely
puzzle. Like, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Definitely don't do that. So, we shall see how they go forward with this stuff going. But I do like the idea. I like the concept, just the execution.
Indeed. Well, I guess we'll wrap this one up. So you guys have been with us. We haven't made it to 50 or like 52 yet for a full year, but a couple weeks off in the middle. But podcast number 45. Still, it's Ebontis and Lord Cognito coming at you guys with the talk of the world of Destiny. But I can tell you, start of 2019 was a happier place for Destiny than the start of 2018. That's easy to say. That's the easiest one of all.
Yeah, if you look at the tapes and you go back to when we started at this time, which is around this time, and what the state of this game was compared to now, this euphoric optimism. Man, it's night and day. And it's good, man. It's good because, like I said, you see what's coming. We know we got some good games coming that we might also have the last word on, which is Anthem, Division. We want to know what's going on with those titles and stuff like that. And to see, this kind of announcement happen all in the midst of that, this is going to be a very good year, I think, for this genre of game. A lot of competition is always good. It always brings out the best. And I'm now super excited just to see Bungie do things in their own vision, their own way. So to me, that's dope.
Well, yeah, it's going to be awesome. And on another note, 23 minutes ago, Niobi Labs was actually solved.
Oh, wow, I didn't have to wait. Wow, they just solved it?
So apparently there was like some piece or some script that was missing somewhere, so they threw it up on their Twitter. And that was about an hour ago, and then I guess it said it was solved. So it was some piece that I guess was just needed to be finally put out there. So, yep, that is finally solved. So I guess we'll look out for the YouTube videos explaining all the stuff that happens, because I'm sure somebody's going to have it up in about 12 hours. So all of that stuff will be there. But, I think for me, you guys know where to find me. It's Twitch and Twitter. If you guys are watching me live, it's Ebontis everywhere. YouTube, if you haven't followed me there. For me, I'm probably going to be working on a solo corrupted Nightfall, and then probably going to try and dabble into bashing my head against a solo flawless Shattered Throne. So if you guys are on Twitch right now, just look for those notifications when I go back live doing that.
Okay. Late night action now. That's good.
Well, I was like, the Nightfall may happen tonight. Shattered Throne's probably going to be tomorrow after my day kind of calms down. So my morning's a little crazy. But yeah, tomorrow afternoon, yeah, probably that. So you guys know where to find me. It's Ebontis. The follows have been amazing. By the way, thank you, everybody.
30,000.
You got me. I was going to say, I was like 30,000 subs on my YouTube channel and still going. So I can't thank everyone. All of you out there have been awesome. And like, honestly, I wish I could just send every 30,000 of those over to Iron Lord Podcast, because they haven't listened to you guys yet. You deserve just as many out there. So if you guys are in my Twitch, please jump over, find Iron Lord's Podcast YouTube channel, or just look him up on iTunes. Anything, it's worth a listen every time. I promise.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Much appreciated, man. And congrats to success, man. I mean, again, it just keeps on rolling, and you're just getting bigger and bigger and more. It's funny to see my community. You've become a staple in my community. Like, I'm seeing people like pull up your video, and they're like unbeknownst to me, like I'm just like creeping in the background, and I'm like, they looking at Ebontis, gotta get through this. I'm like, you're becoming the de facto guy. Like, that's dope. And shout out Chris Cooper. And it's just good to see it. Like I said, man, the talent. The minute I met him, I was like, the minute I met this guy, it's there. The passion is there, and he keeps doing it, man. So he is the artiste, the affectionately Bob Ross of Destiny, the man, the perfectionist, the soloist.
Somewhere, some graphic person is gonna draw me, if they ever find me, with basically like a paint palette in my hand and like a screen behind me or something.
And you gotta have the old school afro with the perm.
Oh my god, me and an afro has got to be the worst thing that could ever happen. I do not belong in an afro. Doesn't matter. I'm as white as it gets, dude. No. I can't pull off an afro. My hair is just gonna That'll be a hilarious picture though when that happens. It'll be funny. So.
No doubt, man.
But yeah, stay tuned, guys. We'll keep the content coming to you guys. We are back. We'll be doing this pretty much every week that we're in town. Guardian. It is the year of Guardian Con. It's also the year of Marvel's crazy movies. But yeah, Guardian Con July. If you guys are going to that, hit us up on Twitter when it gets closer, because keep an eye out if you're really close. Chaos Ruler's asking about 30,000 face reveal. So not 30,000 face reveal. I have a very specific plan for when that's going to happen. So stay tuned. That will happen. I've got my green screen already, so it's gonna happen. You guys just have to stay tuned. It'll be a little while, but I have a very certain time that that's gonna happen. So
no doubt. Yeah, man. I mean, for me, you already know what it is. Lord Cognito on Twitter, all that good stuff. Thanks for the love from Ebontis, man. Iron Lord Podcast on YouTube, all your social medias, all that good stuff. Big episode this Sunday, man. Hopefully have something nice planned out. My boy Maka, P Maka 91 Productions should be in the building. So this guy is one of the best achievement hunters, trophy hunters, great, fantastic guides. I've known him for a long time. So he's going to be in the realm of the Lords at the Sunday Iron Lord Podcast at 1 p.m. Eastern. Also, watch that episode, because we might have a special guest make a cameo in conjunction with Maka, but at least for one topic, and that might be the Destiny topic. Someone that has a lot of knowledge on the going-ons in that area. So fingers crossed if that special guest can make it. So definitely tune in for that if you're very interested on certain aspects of the whole Bungie Activision thing. More stuff that we even discussed here. Guys even a little bit more knowledgeable than us. So that would be cool.
Far more than a little bit more knowledgeable, I'm guessing.
Yeah, man. And shout out to the Flashpoint loyalists, the contingent. We see you in here repping, you know what I'm saying, and getting used to the new name and everything like that. And we're glad that you like it and stuff like that. We're just going to move forward, man. We'll see how this thing goes, man. But thank you guys for the support. To see you guys at this time and starting late because of the 12, really appreciate it, man. Both chats, really cool, a lot of love, and we love doing this thing for you guys, man. So appreciation is there.
All right. Well, and on that note, that's all I got. So we will see you guys next week, and I'm out. Have an awesome weekend, wherever you guys are at. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Peace.